Welcome to Venice Beach Yoga, everybody. This is a short practice breaking down Surya Namaskar A and Surya Namaskar B. All right, everybody, so let's start at the top of the mat in mountain pose. Bring your feet together. Stand up nice and tall. And try and lift the inner arches of the feet. But to do that, you can lift your toes up, feel the inner arches lifted, and then try and keep that and bring the toes down. And then engage your quadriceps, feel your kneecaps lift. And then create this action of spinning your inner thighs back. Feels like your heels want to move out to the sides, but don't let them move. And then you'll widen your sit bones. And then keeping all that, try and draw your navel in towards your spine. Feel your hip points lift and your tailbones reaching for the mat. Now we want to lift the chest without pushing the ribs forward. So keep the ribs in as you lift your chest. And then externally rotate your arms. Turn your palms forward. Feel your shoulders are on your back. And then lift up through the crown of your head. And take nice deep breaths. There's your mountain pose. And this is the foundation. And at least this is a reference. You can reference this for every other pose. So breathe in nice and deep. Good. And then put a soft bend in your knees and fold forward from your hip creases. See if you can bring your hands to the mat. Now, if this is a little bit too much when you fold forward, you can always walk the feet out a little bit wider. But keep the muscles of the legs gently engaged. You don't have to squeeze them as tight as you can. Keep the inner arches of the feet lifted. Maintain that action, spinning your inner thighs back so you can reference that mountain pose. Lift the low belly muscles up towards the spine, but just let your upper body dangle freely. And allow your breath to flow freely. And then from there, let's climb up onto the fingertips. So the fingertips can be just in front of the feet or either sides of the feet. Now lift and lengthen your spine. Try and keep the weight forward in the balls of the feet, guys, or at least at all four corners of the feet. You don't want to shift your weight back into the heels. And then keep the legs nice and strong, but you can keep a bend in the knees. Try and get your spine nice and long. Now, if you feel like you need a little bit more room, slide your hands up your shins. Press into your shins, but please don't lock out your knees. Press your thigh bones back rather than your knees back. And then create space. Lift your sit bones up. Lift your navel up. Take your heart forward and lift your shoulders up. So we're just going to break down the poses because we do these poses so often in a flow. You want to try and feel the pose, create space. Take another full inhale. And then fold back in on your exhale. And again, as you fold, if you've got tight hamstrings, bend your knees. Good. Plant your hands either side of your feet and step back to plank pose. Step your right foot or your left foot back, 1 foot at a time. Come back to plank pose, upper push-up position. And then we can use mountain pose as a reference. So it's that same external rotation of the upper arms. Turn the triceps back, creases of the elbows forward. Take your heart forward. But keep those front ribs in. Don't let the front ribs collapse towards the mat. Don't let your belly collapse towards the mat. So lift the navel up into the spine. You can create the action of lifting the inner thighs like you were spinning your inner thighs back in mountain pose, but just don't let the heels splay out. Take some nice deep breaths. You really want to protect your wrists. So rather than just leaning on your wrist, dig in with the pads of the fingers, the knuckles of the fingers. It feels like you're trying to lift your wrists. Good, now from plank pose, slowly move forward a little bit, guys. Bring the heels forward, bring the chest and the shoulders forward. Try and keep your forearms straight up and down. Lead with your chest, lower slowly, skillfully to your mat. And if it's too much, put your knees down. Good, now once you get down there, release your toes. Keep your hands where they are for now. Start to press down with the tops of the feet, all 10 toenails. Press your pubic bone into the mat. Feel your navel lift off the mat. And then lift your shoulders onto your back. Now you've already created some space. Use that. Come up to cobra pose. Press down with the hands. Lift and lengthen your spine. Good, and then slowly lower back down. And you can do that every time. Set yourself up. Do it again. Press down with the tops of the feet, the pubic bone. Lift your shoulders. And then on an inhale, come on up to cobra. And then exhale, lower. Let's do one more of those, guys. Set yourself up each time, organized. Tops of the feet down, pubic bone down, navel lift, shoulders onto the back. Now come on up, cobra pose. Beautiful. And then exhale, lower slow. From there, just let's press up onto the hands and knees for now. Press back up onto your hands and knees. And then curl your toes under and lift your hips, downward facing dog. So in downward dog, take a quick peek at your hands, guys, just to make sure they're at least shoulders width apart, at least. And then spread the fingers and try and get your index fingers pointing straight forward. It's a general guide, but it helps. It helps take some weight. It helps you be able to press down with the inner parts of your hand. Lift the outer wrists. Push down and forward with the hands as you press your chest back towards your thighs. Same as in that mountain pose, guys. Externally rotate your upper arms. Roll the triceps down. Now, the tendency is when we do that, we roll the triceps down, we lift the inner hands. So try and roll your triceps down and press down through the inner parts of the hands, the base of the thumb and the index finger. Good. And as in your mountain pose, lift the belly up into the spine. Press your hips back. Quadriceps are engaged. You can create that action of spinning the inner thighs back. Just make sure the heels don't splay out. And make sure your neck is soft and your breath is free. Beautiful job, guys. Take another full inhale in downward facing dog. And on your exhale, walk your feet forward, top of the mat, feet between the hands. You can walk forward, step forward, or even lightly hop forward. And then when you get there, guys, do what we did before. Come up halfway, take an inhale. So whether it's fingertips on the mat or hands on shins, look for space. And then on your exhale, fold back in. Good. This time on an inhale, same action, come all the way up to standing. Push down with your feet, lead with your chest. Finish that inhale by reaching up with your arms all the way over your head, palms together. And then on your exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart. Good. So that was really one round of Surya Namaskar A. Let's do it again, guys, and let's break it down again, just nice and slow, but a little bit more of a flow. Big inhale, reach your arms all the way over your head. Try and avoid collapsing your low back as you reach up. Hinge at your hip creases, fold forward, maybe a little bend in your knees. Fingertips on mat or hands on shins, come up halfway, so flatten out the back. Inhale. Plant your hands, step back to plank pose. Organize and lower carefully on your exhale. So never feel like you're in a hurry. Don't feel like you have to keep up. Release the toes, set yourself up, get your shoulders onto your back, and then on an inhale, come on up, cobra pose. Beautiful. This time, on your exhale, curl the toes, press your hips up and back, down dog pose. So you can come onto your hands and knees, or you can go straight back to downward facing dog. Spread the fingers wide. Make sure the neck is soft. Make sure your breath is nice and deep. Let's try that again, guys. Wind your hips back all the way. Take a nice deep inhale. You can bend your knees and look forward. And then either walk, step, or hop forward. Bring your feet between your hands on your exhale. Good. On an inhale, flatten out your back. So lift from your shoulders rather than your waist. And then exhale. Fold and bow deeply. Keep the legs nice and strong. Lead with your chest. Press all the way up to standing. Finish that inhale. Reach up, look up, palms touch. On your exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. Good. Let's get back to downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your arms up. As you reach your arms up, your tailbone is reaching for the mat so you don't collapse. Hinge at your hip creases, fold forward, maybe a little bend in your knees. Come up halfway on an inhale, try and take all the roundness out of your back. On your exhale, plant your hands and step back. Upper push-up position, lower carefully to your mat. So try your best not to collapse. Set yourself up, press down with the tops of the feet. Pubic bone, lift your shoulders. Inhale, cobra. And then your choice whether you come up onto your hands and knees or go straight back to downward facing dog. Spread your fingers wide. And each time you get back into downward dog, check. Check your hands. Check in with your breath. Please don't rely on your wrists. Don't lean on your wrists. I have get so many students say my wrists hurt in down dog. So press down with the fingertips, the knuckles, the pads. Protect your wrists. All right, let's get back to the top of the mat, guys. We'll start to make our way into Surya Namaskar B. So wind your hips back on an inhale. Walk, step, hop lightly, top of the mat, exhale. Coming up halfway, flatten out your back on an inhale. Folding in on your exhale. Coming all the way up to standing. Nice deep inhale. Stretch your arms all the way over your head. On your exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Okay, let's make our way into chair pose, Utkatasana. So put a bend in the knees and reach your arms over your head. Now try and move your shin bones back a little bit, guys, so you can shift the weight into the heels, lift the toes, just to make sure you're lifting your inner arches. And then you, by all means, bring the toes back down. Keep the legs nice and strong, and then again, you can reference your mountain pose. Draw the navel in to lift your hip points up. Gently take the tailbone towards the mat so you're not overarching your low back. And as you lift your chest, careful you're not pushing those front ribs all the way out. Bring the bottom ribs down a little bit and then lift your chest. And then keep reaching those fingertips away from the tailbone, taking deep breaths. Good. Take another full inhale. Let's stand up. Bring the hands to the heart on the exhale. Good job. Now we're going to make our way back to downward dog. We're going to add a chair pose. So on your next inhale, come back into chair pose. Then as you exhale, fold forward. Just going to make our way back to downward dog. On an inhale, come up halfway, flatten out your back. On your exhale, hands down, step back to plank pose. Try not to collapse, so organize and lower nice and slow. Ease into a back bend, cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Nice. And then from there, guys, step your right foot to the top of the mat. See if you can get your right foot next to your right thumb. And then turn your back foot flat. And then before you go anywhere else, just check that your heels are lined up, or even there's a little gap between your heels. So once you've turned your back foot flat, you might want to walk your right foot to the right slightly. And then climb up onto your fingertips, lift and lengthen your spine. Keep your right hip firmed in, keep your left leg strong, and lift the belly up towards the spine. And then from there, press up, warrior one. Press away from your right leg, reach your arms over your head. Nice. So you're going to have to feel it out how much you want to bend your right knee. But keep this left leg really long and strong. And then you can create the action of spinning your inner left thigh back. It's going to help take your left hip forward. But as you do that, as you take your left hip forward, spin the inner left thigh back, try and keep lifting the inner arch, inner ankle of your left foot. Stabilize. Draw your navel in, take your tailbone down, and extend up through your fingertips. If you have the room, you lock up. And maybe you bring your palms together. It's all optional. Take another inhale as you reach. Exhale, release your hands down. Step back to downward facing dog. So we're not going to do the full Surya Namaskar B just yet. We're just going to dial in the postures. Just take a moment in downward dog to breathe. And then when you're ready, guys, step your left foot through. Turn your back foot flat before you do anything else, or before you go anywhere else. Organize. So you want to come up with space. Make sure the heels are in line, or there's even a little gap. Lengthen out your spine. Lift your shoulders onto your back. Firm your belly. You're going to protect your low back. And then make sure that back leg is nice and strong. And then come on up, warrior one. Press up. So we're trying to get the hips square to the top of the mat. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you're gently trying to spin the inner right thigh back. It's going to help take your right hip forward. And then from there, you just play with bending that left knee up to your own personal degree. And then you climb up out of your low back, you draw the navel in, take the tailbone down, and you reach. And you breathe as you reach. If you're feeling it, you can look up, maybe bring your palms together. Take another inhale, bring your hands down, step back to downward facing dog on your exhale. Beautiful job, guys. Now let's come forward to plank pose again. Come forward to plank. Skillfully lower all the way to your mat. And again, you can always use your knees. Always use your knees. Now release your toes. This time slide your hands a couple of inches further back. And we're going to come up into the upward facing dog. So press down with the tops of the feet. Draw the navel up into the spine. Now start to press down with the hands like you're coming up into a cobra pose, but try and go a little bit further, straighten the elbows. Now in upward facing dog, you're trying to lift your hip points and even your thigh bones off the mat. So really press down strongly with the arms as you lift your chest. Try and move your shoulders onto your back. Press down with the tops of the feet, but gently lift the navel so you're not collapsing your low back. And then the last little bit, guys, you can create this action of pulling your hands back to take your heart forward, create a little bit more space. Good. Take another full inhale from there. Make your way back to downward facing dog. So you can curl the toes under, or you can roll over the toes, whatever works. Whew. Beautiful. On a nice deep inhale, wind those hips back, all the way back. Bend your knees, look forward, walk, step, or hop, top of the mat. Coming up halfway on an inhale, flat back. On an exhale, fold in, head and neck relaxed. Let's come all the way up to standing, guys. Nice big inhale. Press down with the feet, lead with the chest, reach through your fingertips. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. So in Surya Namaskar B, the traditional way is using upward facing dog, but I just wanted to give you guys the option. Cobra, upward dog is very personal. Let's see if we can put that all together in a nice, steady, rhythmic flow, flowing with that deep breath. So we'll start with chair pose, Utkatasana. Bend the knees as you reach. Full inhale so you can find your pose. And then fold forward on your exhale. Gently exit your pose. Come up halfway. Keep those legs nice and strong. Make the spine nice and long. Inhale. Hands down. Step back to plank. Lower carefully through Chaturanga. Exhale. So it's cobra, maybe an upward facing dog on the inhale. Downward facing dog on your exhale. Now the same exhale, step your right foot to the top of the mat. Turn your back foot flat. Organize. You have time. And then on your inhale, come on up, Virabhadrasana 1. Reach up, try and create that space. On your exhale, bring your hands down. Step back to plank and lower nice and slow. Inhale into your choice, cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Same exhale, try and get your left foot next to your left thumb. Turn your back foot flat. Organize before you come up. Your body will appreciate that. Inhale, come on up and reach. So you don't want to feel like you've got to keep up in your flow. And then exhale, release. Hands down, step back, and try and lower without collapsing to your mat. Inhale into something that feels good. Look for space. Exhale, downward facing dog. Beautiful. Each time you get back there, guys, take a quick peek at your hands. Why wouldn't you, you know? Just to make sure you're giving yourself enough room. You're pressing the hip points, your hip creases back. You're pressing the thigh bones back. Let's see if we can do one more. So we'll start from down dog. Wind your hips back. Take an inhale. Walk, step, or float lightly on your exhale. Coming up halfway, lift and lengthen the spine. Inhale. And fold in on your exhale. From there, chair pose, bend your knees, sit back on your heels as you reach, take your time, find your pose. Stand up, hands to your heart, exit your pose. Good, back to chair pose, full inhale. Fold forward on your exhale, and exhale everything out so you're not in a hurry. Coming up halfway on an inhale, flatten out your back. Plant your hands, step. You can even lightly hop back. Try not to collapse. Inhale into a back bend, cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale to downward dog. Step your right foot next to your right thumb. Turn your back foot flat, squeeze. And then inhale, come up and reach. Perfect. Exhale, release the hands to the mat. Step back, try not to collapse. Inhale into your back bend. Exhale, down dog, left foot through. So once you've turned your back foot flat, organize before you come up. You want to come up with space. You don't want to try and find it once you're up there. Inhale, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale the hands down, step back and lower carefully to your mat. You can always use your knees, guys. Inhale your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Beautiful. And then from there, just walk your hands towards your feet at the back of the mat. Put a generous bend in your knees. Shift the weight back into the heels, but take your tailbone towards the mat, firm your belly, and then slowly but surely, one vertebrae at a time, roll up to standing. Take your time. Once you've unfurled your spine, get your shoulders onto your back. And take a few moments to breathe. So hopefully we broke down the poses for Surya Namaskar A, Surya Namaskar B. We do them so often, we want to try and create space. Thanks for practicing, guys. Namaste.